This week there have been one or two surprises and things haven't quite gone to plan, but I have put in some hard yards in my quest for higher ceilings and lower floors. This is what I've been up to. A whole lot more to each channel here. My plan for this week has been to excavate the floor in 2 final downstairs rooms in order to achieve my objective of higher ground floor ceilings and a single floor level without steps. Some help and a mini excavator are due to start in the middle of the week. But before they start, I need to do some prep work and to move some things around. First up, I needed to clear some space in this room. I was actually doing this on the second day of the week because my first surprise of the week was a severe attack of hay fever that required some new medication and a day indoors. But I felt okay the next day and was able to get on with creating some level surfaces in here so that I could move my table and chairs into this room. This room has basically been like my office, and everything needed to come out so that I could work on the floor. This was one of the faster office moves that I've been involved in, and I quite like my new window seat. I also had to find a new temporary home for my scaffolding and props. I then also needed to clear everything out of the entrance room. And with the rooms cleared, I got on with my next bit of prep work, which was to mark some lines on the wall to help guide the excavation work. For this work, I'm using a laser level that was very kindly sent to me by a company called Cigman. I'm using the smaller of the 2 devices they sent me, which is a Cigman G01. The laser light was certainly bright, and it was quick and easy to use, although my skills with the chalk liner string were slightly less impressive. After a break for some lunch, I got on to the next bit of preparation work, which was to create a lower and smoother entry into the rooms the machine would be used in. I needed the entrance to be wide enough for a machine and for my wooden board on the ground, but I had to be a bit careful not to weaken the rock under the doorway edges. Once I had cleared the doorway, I started to create a smoother ramp into the room. I finished the prep work that I thought I needed for the next day a bit quicker than I expected. And because I was quite enjoying the workout, I decided to actually get on with some of the excavation. Unlike the previous rooms I have excavated, most of the rock in this room was breaking up quite easily into small gravel-like pieces, and there weren't that many big rocks. And then I did one final tidy up so that everything was ready for the excavator the next day. Or so I thought. Because later that evening, my intended helper called me to say that he had a problem with the machine and he wouldn't be able to make it the next day. I looked into renting a different machine, but without finding one and wanting to progress the work, I decided I would just carry on like I had the day before. To start with, I wanted to work my way across the room and then widen the channel to give myself a bit more working space. The rock in this section of the room was also breaking up pretty easily, and while it was tiring shoveling the material off the floor, it was also relatively easy when using the wooden board. After lunch, I did start to hit some seams with bigger and harder rocks, and I would have welcomed a small jackhammer at this stage, but I was still making pretty good progress. But my progress and my plans were about to change again. Because now I needed to work on the area nearer the wall to the left, and I was about to have my next surprise. I had initially found a couple of tiles below the dirt when I started to create a ramp into the next room. But after clearing more of the dirt off the surface, I started to find a whole line of tiles. So next up, I started excavating either side of this line of tiles and soon found myself uncovering some sort of wall. Later on in the video, after I had done some more work and some more thinking, I'll talk a bit more about this structure, but here is a quick clue about it. One bit of good news was that the rock level between the structure and the main wall was already a bit lower than I thought it might be, so it should be a bit easier to safely lower the floor level in this section. After finding this structure, I realized my plans for the week were going to change a bit, and the next day I would need to have a closer look at it. So the next day started with some more precise tidying up and uncovering. And then I was back to clearing rock from the middle of the room, working my way towards the back. To make the digging a little easier, I scraped off the dirt towards the back, and while doing this, I came across my next surprise, which was an area where the rock had already been excavated and the area had been filled in with dirt. Clearing out the dirt took some more time before I could get back to trying to break through the rock between the middle of the room and the hole at the back. Once I had reached the hole, I then had to do some more careful excavating to make sure I knew what I was taking out. And I then hit some more big rocks in the other corner. The effort to clear those rocks finished me off for the day, and I decided to leave tidying up to the next day. But after a bit of a rest, my energy levels were back the next morning, and I launched myself straight back into my fight with the floor. Before I do any more digging, I thought now is a good time to talk to you about this structure, which I got a bit of a surprise from when I uncovered it a couple of days ago. When I was excavating in here, I had been planning on putting a ramp up to that doorway so that I could get into that room easily when I work in it. And when I was taking away the dirt in this area, I noticed just these two tiles here. And initially I just thought it might be another layer of tiles underneath the old floor tiles, or maybe a bit of fill-in. But when I started to uncover a whole lot more tiles in a line, I realized it must be something else, and that it might be something structural, perhaps to do with the foundations, or perhaps some sort of other wall. But when I started to dig away on both sides, this structure became much more familiar to me, because I've excavated a few of these, all of them outside, and they've all been drainage channels. And for this one, when I started to look at the line a bit more carefully, I realized that's almost certainly what it was, because this goes straight into the old drainage channel here that I took out a few months ago, that takes the water down to what was an old water deposit. And my initial thoughts about what it was there for were that perhaps it was to drain water off the back wall, perhaps with some sort of old French drain system. But when I thought about the exact line that the structure was taking, it occurred to me that it might be for something else. And to show you that, I need to go to the other side of that wall. Because the line of the drainage channel on the other side of this wall points directly to this point here. And above this point, And below this more modern drain pipe is an ancient old ceramic drain pipe that I'm guessing used to be responsible for draining all of the rainwater off the roof down to this point here. So I'm now thinking that this channel is part of an old rainwater harvesting system. And if that is the case, I'm pretty impressed by the relatively ingenious design and by its eco-credentials. But I'm not sure how happy I would be with a whole lot of rainwater passing underneath my house, especially through my main entrance area. And while it must have been blocked up a long time ago, it does make me wonder as to what sort of impact it's been having on the moisture level and dampness around this whole part of the back wall. Whatever the situation, I'll talk to my architect about it next week. I'll probably take most of this out, and then at some stage, when I'm ready to put a stair solution in place, I'll be able to excavate this area carefully, and we can work out what sort of solution to the wall is going to be required through there. And then the other surprise I've had this week, which I'm a little less clear about, relates to this corner space here. Because this area here is definitely a constructed wall with stones held together by old mortar. And it's then got this very straight-edged cavity here, which looks to me like it might have been for holding a post of some sort. And it's not immediately clear to me why there should be a wall just in this part here. And what's even more strange is that on the other side of here, it's the one part of the wall that I had thought had been built into the bedrock. So I've now got some more questions about the history of this section. Anyway, I'll give it some more thinking and I'll ask my architect about it next week. And if we come up with anything, I'll let you know. Now for some more digging work and see if I can make a bit of a dent in this side of the room. Well, I am tempted to try and clear a little bit more there, but I think it'll be better just to call it a day and call it a week and do one final tidy up before I do a quick review of what I've done. Well, this week certainly hasn't gone as I expected, but I am pretty pleased with the progress that I've managed to make, especially without the help and without any machines. And next week I'll talk to my architect about this structure here and whether I can take it out straight away. And I'll almost certainly clear this section out here. And I'll see if I can get on to working and clearing out this room as well. I've also got a meeting scheduled with the council to talk about the path. And there are a couple of tasks in this area here that I would like to get started on. So I hope to see you then.